everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on In Falling Snow by Mary Rose MacColl. Obviously this isn't the actual cover. I'll put the actual cover on the screen for you guys to check out. I received this book for review from the book depository, but this review will still be my complete and honest opinion of the book. This book follows two people. Part of the story takes place following Iris during World War I. She is one of the nurses on staff in France working to help the soldiers who are injured and dying during World War I. She's from Australia, and the reason why she went to France is because her brother ran away to go help out the war effort despite only being like 15 years old, and so Iris went to follow after him and try to get him back home. But during all of that, she ends up getting roped into working for a hospital. You're also following Iris in a modern day setting, or at least it's supposed to take place I think in the 1970s, and you're following her as she's getting older and she's sort of thinking about the things that have happened to her in her past. And you're also following her granddaughter Grace, who is a female doctor. Just her storyline with her family. Her son is sick and you're sort of figuring out why her son is sick, as well as finding out a lot about Iris's past during World War I. This was a really interesting read. I don't know that much about World War I, or I feel like I don't read about World War I as much as I do in comparison to like World War II. I feel like World War II is the more popular war, so to speak, and so reading about World War I was really interesting. Even though the characters are fictional, a lot of the things and the places and the dates of certain wars that are all mentioned in here are historically accurate. The hospital that Iris is working at as a nurse is actually a well-known French location that was turned into a hospital during World War I. And specifically, the hospital is an all-female hospital, so the doctor is a female and everyone on staff is a female, which obviously during World War I is quite a revolutionary stance. You also read a lot about Grace being a female doctor in the 1970s in Australia. Again, you're dealing with a lot of gender issues and just the prejudices that women faced being in a position of power. There are a lot of gender conflicts and gender issues that are brought up in this book, but that isn't really the main focus of the book. I really like this book, but at the same time I also felt like when I was reading this book I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be paying attention to. You can kind of see that there is something up or something isn't quite right throughout the story. Every chapter alternates between Iris's point of view and Grace's point of view, but then every Iris chapter is split up, so that way you're getting a little bit of present day Iris and a little bit of past Iris, and past Iris could even be split up between World War I Iris and even previous to World War I Iris. And so I felt like there was just a lot of things happening all the time that I wasn't really sure how it all fit together until the very end. You also get chapters randomly where it's just like Paris 1917 and you are reading about characters and you're just like, where does this all fit? How does this all make sense? And it's one of those things where it doesn't make sense until the very end. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. For me personally, this time I felt like it didn't feel like it worked. I feel like this book was a little bit too long for the payout that I got at the end of it. I felt like I was getting a lot of information that just didn't really feel necessary to the overall story. I felt like this book was trying to be both historical and as well as tell the story of Iris and Grace. That doesn't always work out perfectly. A lot of times when I was reading some of the stuff about World War I and just the things happening in the hospital, I could feel my eyes sort of glazing over the page because I was just like, oh, I don't really care that much about the World War I history aspect of it. I kind of just want to know what's happening with these characters, which is just sort of a personal opinion. Someone who's really interested in history and really interested in World War I or any sort of war sort of novel, then this book will probably appeal to you quite a bit. In the end, I still did give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I did find most of it pretty interesting, but I just wasn't overly compelled by this book in any way. I really enjoyed Grace's chapters the most, and I don't know if it's just because it was more modern or if they just went by faster than Iris's, because Iris's chapters were always just longer in terms of just pure page numbers, and so it always just felt like a little bit more of a drag. So I'd recommend this book for anyone who is interested in World War I related novels, because there definitely isn't enough of that out there, and I feel like for that alone this book could be worth it. Also, if you're someone who doesn't normally read adult books or you read a lot of YA books, this might not be the book for you because I feel like it isn't really a good introduction into adult books. But if you're someone who normally reads adult literature, then you'll be fine with this. So yeah, if any of you guys have read this book, feel free to leave your comments down below with what you thought of it. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on In Falling Slow.